That's St Etienne and Nothing Can Stop Us. Just one of the bands coming to Edinburgh's Hidden Door Festival, which kicks off tomorrow, starting 10 days of live music, visual art, dance, theatre and spoken word. As ever, it's also breathing life into a forgotten corner of the city. We're going to be transporting you to their awesome new venue on Calton Hill in just a moment with our reporter Anna Welander. She's on site, but first I'm speaking to festival creator David Martin. Welcome back to the show, David.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Good to have you in the studio. The last time we spoke was at the last one when you were down at the Granton Gasworks, and I kind of was trying to tease you about the next one. Well, you can now pontificate at your leisure about what you had planned, because you obviously can give the details then. Tell us, this is another wonderful site in Edinburgh.
Yeah, this time we're really pulling out all the stops. We've got our hands on the quite amazing Old Royal High School on the side of Calton Hill. Yeah. A lot of Edinburgh locals will know the building well. It sort of looms over the south side of the city. It's very austere, quite sort of full of forbidding kind of grandeur. It's quite a building, and it's been lying empty it's been unused by the public for about 50 years since it's
much talked about, though, isn't it, this space over the years? What's it going to be? What we're going to do with it? What's it going to become? So when you approached the owners of the building for this festival, what kind of conversation was that? What did you ask them? What did you ask? Can we have the keys?
Yeah, as ever, it's never simple. I mean, our first point of contact is chatting to the council, and actually at that point the council, were the owners of the building, and they were actually pretty relaxed about us using it. The first thing they said to us was, you probably don't want to use it because it's quite leaky. And we said, really, that doesn't matter.
Compared to where you were last year.
we'll take a few leaks, we'll put a few buckets out, it'll be fine. Yeah. And we were amazed that they were, really quite open to us using it, actually.
It's just great to see it getting used, first and foremost. So, take us back just a little step. For those who are perhaps not familiar with the festival, give us a little bit of background. Where did it come from and what is it?
Yeah, so I started this festival kind of by mistake. I teach art and in Leith School of Art, and quite a few of my students wanted to put on their own sort of pop-up exhibition. So I suggested, why don't we jazz up a bit, get a few bands to play music, and maybe even get some poets to do some poetry readings at the exhibition. And it kind of went from there, and we started looking for a space to do it in, and we ended up doing the first one in the Roxy, which was called the Roxy Art House at the time, in 2010. And it was a complete artist-made sort of ball of chaos. It was great fun, but we sort of realised that we were kind of onto something. It was so brilliant just getting all these different art forms together. But after that, we kind of had to take a bit of a break to figure out how we really wanted to do this properly. And then we stumbled across, or decided to kind of go with the idea of using derelict buildings or disused buildings in the city. And we were amazed really at how many there were. That was round about 2012, 2013 when we started putting those plans together. And so we launched our first proper Hidden Door Festival in the Market Street Arches in 2014. And we never looked back really since then. We've done one every year pretty much since then, and used different spaces. We used King Stables Road, a brilliant little hidden courtyard just in the shadow of the castle. And we've used, and quite sort of, I suppose, a bit more well known, is the Leith Theatre down in Leith, which is a beautiful Art Deco theatre which was lying completely abandoned for 25 years. And we took off all the hoardings and we cleaned it all up, and we got art and music back into that building and breathed new life into it, and now it's going. It's
quite incredible when you list these buildings. You're like, yeah, there's that as well, and yet there's that which is just sitting there needing, brought back to life again. And given the experience that you've got now since 2014, and I mean, I dare say every year is going to be different. Every year is going to throw up its own problems, its own hurdles for you to overcome. This year, I guess, is no different.
This year is different because it's so much more challenging. It's so much more ambitious. This building requires us to throw the artistic kitchen sink at it. It's an amazing building, but inside it's a kind of a myriad of really quite unusual spaces. So unlike the Leith Theatre, which had this big kind of purpose-built auditorium, really, this isn't like that at all. It's much more of a labyrinth. It's like putting on an arts festival in a maze. And that brings with it a lot of challenges, but it also brings with it the opportunity to create a really special audience experience. The idea of exploring all these passageways and staircases and rooms, every turn of a corner, going through every single door, you'll find something really quite unexpected and quite surprising. So that's the challenge, but it's also, I think, hopefully going to create a brilliant experience for the audience.
It sounds like it. I'm not even going to ask about the health and safety aspect of it.
That's
we'll just skip over.
It's not our first rodeo.
Absolutely. So everything is taking place as part of this festival. As we mentioned, so many different forms of art there. We mentioned St Etienne are going to be there, which is a fantastic, what an amazing band to get on. Who else? I mean, so many acts are involved in
St Etienne are brilliant for us. I mean, I saw St Etienne in 1993, so that tells you something about how old I am. But and when I saw them in Glasgow, and they had this very little known band at the time supporting them called Oasis, which we thought, these guys are not bad. But
just Google them, see what happens.
Yeah, see what happens. But on the other end of the spectrum, on the closing night of the festival, we've got almost like the kind of opposite, which is a completely brand new band which are causing real waves at the moment, called Warmdusher. They're really, really exciting, really lively, what they'd call post-punk. So going from St Etienne's pop to post-punk, there's a lot of P's there. I hope the radio isn't popping as I speak. But and in the middle, we've got everything from a bit of jazz with Portico Quartet, and we've got some beautiful melodic kind of pop on Friday night by a band called Yellow Days, this guy's got this incredible voice, sort of coming up from down south, but we're really excited to bring him to Scotland. I think it's one of his only shows he's done up here, so we're quite keen with Hidden Door to introduce people to new talent and kind of new exciting stuff which is kind of breaking through. We use the term breakthrough artists quite a lot, and that's really what Hidden Door's for. It's not really to try and give people what they would expect. It's almost for people who want to explore and find out something new, and that goes for the music as well as for the visual artists. We basically commission and invite new graduate artists to show at Hidden Door, but we also really, most of our program is brand new bands that are just beginning to kind of break through now, who've maybe just recorded and released their first 1 or 2 albums. So there's some fantastic bands like Bleach Lab playing, Real Lies, a lot of names that might not be familiar to people, but what we really want to do is encourage people to come along and discover. That's what Hidden Door is all about.
Yeah, it's amazing. 70 music acts involved. It's quite incredible what you managed to put together. Right, let's hand across to our roving reporter Anna Welander, who's on site at the Old Royal House School on Calton Hill. It's a landmark building for Edinburgh, but also something that I included, many locals won't have been inside. So let Anna hand over to you and give us a wee sense of what it's like now you've got access to that amazing building.
Yeah, it is amazing. And one of the things I love about my job is that I quite often get to go places where other people aren't allowed to go behind the scenes. But the great thing about this is going to be open to everyone, and everyone's going to get a chance to have a look around in this, as you say, iconic building. And I was really interested in what David was saying there about putting on an art festival, and amazed because I've just been given a very comprehensive tour, and it's just incredible to walk through a building that has, there's real relics of the past all the way through it. The smell, the atmosphere, you can really tell this is a building with history. And it's a building that I've stood outside. My bus stop is actually just right outside this building, and I've stood staring at this building for hours and hours on end and wondered what was inside. And I'm very pleased that today I got a chance to have a look. So I'm here today with Hazel Johnson, who's the festival manager. What is it like having a site like this, getting your hands on a site like this to run a festival?
It's an absolute privilege. It really is. We've been really lucky with a lot of the venues that we've been able to get inside to do Hidden Door over the past few years. But this one's been on our radar for a long time, and it's just such an iconic building, as you say. It's, as I say, a privilege to see inside it, a privilege to get to play and to dress it up, and also to get it ready for the public to come and see inside tomorrow.
Yes, it's looming large, isn't it? One of the rooms I was most struck by was the central chamber, which I hadn't realised the history of that building. Can you tell me a bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. It's utterly fantastic. So the building is a beautiful example of neoclassical architecture. It was built 1825 to 29, and then in the 70s for a double parliament, which the bill never passed, kitted out with this kind of crazy sci-fi 70s style seating, and that juxtaposed with the neoclassical plasterwork and all of the detailing. It's a bonkers space to be in, but we've done some creative work with a stage in the centre, so the audience will be able to see performances in the round. So we're using the space as we found it, altering it slightly to allow performances to take place, but really working with the space as it sits.
It's a really difficult space to get a sense of if you haven't seen it. So I do urge people to come along, because there's a sort of huge lozenge-shaped stage in the middle with projections on it.
Yeah, so we've built the stage in the round, as I just said, but it's actually over the central well, which when this was a school, it was originally built as a school and stopped being a school in the 1960s, but that's where the teacher or the lecturer would have stood and spoken to all the boys. It was a boys' school, sitting on the benches around. And I understand from one of our volunteers, who's actually an alumni of this school, he came to this building as a child, that they used to also have concerts in there with the choir at one end and the orchestra at the other. It must have been quite fantastic.
Absolutely. And when I was wandering around and discovering interesting things in every room, I went through a sort of beautiful red curtain and stumbled upon one of the emerging artists who's going to be featured at the festival, who's Sasha Ballon. Sasha, what is it like to put on an exhibition of your work here?
It's been an amazing experience. Just like Hazel said, the building itself and the site, basically my practice, I respond to the environment that it's in. So I've honestly just had a lot of fun just playing with the space and playing with the work that I have and experimenting.
And this is your first show since you graduated, isn't it?
Yes, I just graduated from the Glasgow School of Art, and there's an installation on there now. So I've built a separate installation for this show, and so it's really exciting for me to get this opportunity to share and show the work that I've been doing.
And your work, I mean, I just had a very brief look at it, but there are parts of trees, there are trade crafts as well. Can you explain a bit about your practice?
Yes, so my practice, I basically combined elements of art, craft, and trades together. So I have chainsaw wood carvings, metal welding, textiles, and a video installation. I have a performance that's going to happen tomorrow and on Friday, as well as next week, that I'm really, really excited to show.
And Hazel, I just wanted to ask you a final question, because one of the things of Hidden Door is that you want to leave a site in a better sort of state than you found it in. Can you tell me what's happening with the gates?
I can, gladly. We've been really, really delighted to be able to open up the original gates to the building off Regent Road. So the public coming to the festival will walk through over the threshold as the architect originally designed it. And the gates have been worked on by a wonderful blacksmith called Colin, who's restoring them to their former glory. And they're going to look fantastic, but they'll be open during the festival, so everybody will be able to see them.
And I mean, I think one of the most incredible things about this festival is that it's run by volunteers as well. So like everyone here is just putting in an absolute shift to get things done. And I think it's going to be a really amazing place to come along and have a look. Thank you so much to Hazel Johnson and Sasha Ballon. Back to you, Grant.
Very much. Thanks very much indeed, Anna, reporting there live from the site of the Hidden Door Festival, which is on at the former Royal High School on Calton Hill. We're joined by Festival Director David Martin in our studio there. And David, the festival is a charity, we should stress that, and relies on volunteers, just like the people that we've just heard from there from Anna. And obviously Scotland has a fair share of music festivals that run on the usual model, but why is it so important for Hidden Door to run like this with volunteers and as a charity?
Well, one of the things that makes Hidden Door quite unique is, as you said earlier, every year really we jump onto a different site, so we never really get to kind of use the same site over and over again, which means that it requires a huge amount of resources to pull it off. Part of the reason to do that is because we want to keep surprising our audiences. It's a bit of a metaphor, but we want to open up new space for the arts, and kind of use the city as a canvas that we can kind of use creatively, showing how different spaces can be used. But in order to do that, we have to constantly kind of reinvent what we do. So it uses a lot of human resources just to kind of clear out yet another site. The amount of carpets we had to lift in the old Royal High School they didn't smell that great, so we really wanted to get rid of them for the public. And things like that, it just takes a lot of bodies to kind of shift all this kind of stuff. And we pay all our artists. We're really proud to make sure that the contributors to the festival all leave, with good money in their pocket. But the people that man the festival, that organise the festival, that put the festival on, we do it because we love it. And a lot of people have, they have their day jobs, and we're doing Hidden Door in the in-between times. We're doing Hidden Door in our lunch breaks. We're organising Hidden Door after work, and all of that kind of stuff. But what it means is that it's a passion project for everyone who's involved, and everyone who works together to put this festival on is in love with it. So there's a great vibe, there's a brilliant atmosphere there. It's a real pleasure to be involved with all these people who are doing it because they want something amazing to happen for Edinburgh. They want Edinburgh to have a sort of a rock and roll part to its kind of arts, not just the kind of high-end institutional part of the arts, which Edinburgh has in abundance, but we need to encourage and provide something for the new artists, and that requires putting something in and making something happen, and that's what all these volunteers do.
Well, we started our chat by saying the last time I spoke to you, you couldn't give me the location of this year, the Royal High School in Calton Hill. Have you already got a plot for next year?
No, we're weighing up our options. And let's get this one out of the way first, and then we'll take a deep breath and see what happens next year.
That's a very good answer. David Martin, creator of Hidden Door Festival, thanks very much indeed. And that begins tomorrow and runs until the 18th of June. If you want more information, we're going to put all the details on the afternoon show webpage. Thanks for joining me, David.